More than 800 meters Amazon trees felled in 6 years to meet beef demand.
Here's a summary of the article.
More than 800 meters trees have been cut down in the Amazon rainforest in just 6 years to feed the world's appetite for Brazilian beef, according to a new investigation, despite dire warnings about the forest's importance in fighting the climate crisis. Alex Veyaratna, a senior director at the Mighty Earth Advocacy Organization, said, "The Amazon is very close to a tipping point. So these types of figures are very alarming because the Amazon can't afford to be losing this number of trees. This has planetary implications." The MEP Delara Burkhardt said the findings reinforced the need for greater legislation globally to tackle deforestation. The destruction of the Amazon is not only a Brazilian affair. It is also an affair of other parts of the world, like the EU, the UK, or China that import Amazon deforestation. That is why the consumer countries should enact supply chain laws to make sure that the meat they import is produced without inducing deforestation. I hope that the new EU law against imported deforestation will be a blueprint for other major importers like China to follow. According to a separate Guardian analysis for the Bruno and Dom project, the Amazon slaughterhouses belonging to these companies processed cattle worth more than $5 billion while still in Brazil in 2022. More value will be added further along the complex supply chain, and by an overwhelming margin the economic value of this industry is being realized outside Brazil, on dinner plates at restaurants in Beijing and New York. In cases where the full beef supply chain could be mapped, the study estimated that since 2017 there had been more than 100 instances of forest loss on farms that directly supplied company plants. More than 250 cases of deforestation were attributable to indirect suppliers, farms that rear or fatten cattle but send them to other ranches before slaughter. According to shipping records, the plant has sold more than £1 billion worth of beef products since 2014 to China, Germany, Spain, Italy, the Netherlands and the UK. In a statement, Marfrig confirmed it had received cattle from the owner, saying, "With every transaction it makes, Marfrig checks the status of the cattle supplying properties." At the time of slaughter, the farm in question was compliant with Marfrig's socio-environmental criteria, meaning the property was not located in an area with deforestation, embargo, or forced labor, nor in a conservation unit or on indigenous lands.
This post received a score of 7,500, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
It's also important to remember that beef is not the only product in global supply chains linked to Amazon deforestation. Brazil is also the world's largest exporter of cow leather, much of which is from cows raised on illegally deforested land. The health and beauty industry is complicit, too. One of the latest fads is collagen supplements, a cattle byproduct extracted from cow skin and tendons.
Our addiction's killing the earth. I love a good steak and a pair of sick leather pants just as much as the next guy, but at what cost?
Eat steak only on special occasions, and take care of your leather clothing so it can last decades. Should help.
If you do choose to eat meat or wear leather, look for locally sourced options if you can. Buying local greatly reduces emissions from transporting goods, and small local farms often help maintain vanishing grassland habitats which are critical for other species. There is a fairly good argument that, in other words, beef production isn't inherently bad, but the fact that we're eating so much of it, and producing it in unsustainable ways, is the issue. Reducing the amount of beef we eat and demanding that what we do eat is sustainable would go a long way to mitigating the harms of cattle production.
It might be something like 10% to 20%. I wouldn't call that greatly reducing emissions. What you eat has an overwhelmingly larger impact on your emissions than where it came from.
10 to 20% is up to an entire fifth. It's not the solution, but that doesn't make it pointless. Imagine if 1/3 of the developed world's population used 10% less electricity.
You are correct that 10 to 20% is substantial. However, I would argue that local isn't always better. Simply because some products are far more sustainably grown in some places than others. It's a frustratingly complex topic and it can feel almost impossible to really get to the absolute truth, but as an example, Brazilian beef obviously is extremely bad for the environment, so in that case, someone in Brazil may actually be better to get imported beef from somewhere more sustainable, as the 10 to 20% transport cost may still be better when all things are considered.
Agreed, it isn't always a plus.
A double whammy: destroy that which reduces global warming, to provide that which increases warming. We are doomed.
It's weird how so many people that acknowledge the reality of climate change get defensive when the topic of cutting back on meat comes up.
People hate admitting they're wrong. The closer we get to the root of the problem, the more people we'll find that contribute to it and the less we'll find that are willing to admit it.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.